Salutations. It's the tire episode.
Do you even trail, bro? 5.
So, what's been up, man?
Man, not much. We've been getting a lot of orders. Thanks, guys. So, yeah. Keeping us real busy.
Yeah, been doing some orders. Awesome. So, what else have you been doing? I mean, you're not fulfilling orders 24/7. What are you doing?
Talking about? I live here, man. I got a cot in the back and everything. It's
okay.
Great.
Well, he was out of town last week. He was trying to avoid that. That's basically what I was getting at.
We did go out of town a little bit, so.
And I haven't been on the trails.
Yeah, you got your foot right.
Yeah. So yesterday I'm on it. And I'm gonna get back to it this weekend, first time trails. It's a little sore still, but I mean it's been 3 weeks this Saturday, so I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, rest is part of healing, but time for rest is over.
It's rice.
Trail.
It's rice. It was rice time.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them what rice means.
Rice is rest, invest. No, my bad.
What the hell? And did he just? It's not investment channel, bro. Did you just say invest?
Invest yes. In your health.
What is investing in your health for sure?
Is ricing. So it's
what's I?
We got rest. We got ice. We got C, and we got E for elevate.
All right. So he didn't even compression C.
Compression. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I got 3 out of 4. So not enough country. But yeah, today we're coming at you with the tires. All about tires.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking when I came into the set. The set interior decorator really made it obvious that we were doing the tire show. In fact, I came in just straight off the bat, just dropping comedy bombs. I said, "What are we doing? The tire episode?" Still do TV shows like that?
Oh, dude, they do laugh tracks on TV shows all the time.
But do they actually have live TV shows still? I mean, I would assume that's probably a pretty good little double whammy. You can charge people to come watch the show, and then you get free laughs.
I don't think so. I don't think they do live shows anymore.
You know what? I bet you there would be some psychos in there.
Yeah. Do You Even Trail Bro is filmed before a live studio audience. Every time.
Every time.
So get your tickets now.
Dude, we're like half a decade.
Yeah, we're halfway there. Halfway to the Big Ten. It's going to be sick.
It's going to be great.
Heck yeah.
I remember when Jeff was 5. It was yesterday, and it was actually like the infancy of him riding on a board.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you first step on the board when he was 5?
3.
Oh, okay.
I did my part. He's already kick flipping down a little 3 set.
Oh man, he's way better than me when I was 5. I'll tell you what.
Well, that's a lie. He was basically just kind of getting the hang of it still.
Oh, okay, well.
So number 5, dude, that is like an iconic number. 5.
How many fingers you got on each hand?
Exactly.
Unless, accidents happen.
Bro, look at all these sexy ass tires.
I know, right? It's looking real nice.
Dude, I'm about to take a minute. Like,
well, let's take a little 5-minute recess. And,
that Vega showing those threads, baby girl.
That's what I'm saying. Woo! We got props to the sides.
So, let's get on with the show. I guess what we could do is maybe you could tell us, could you break down the tire and tell us, the different categories we'll be talking about?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's drink break, bro.
We need to bring the drink break back. It's been so long. It's been almost
gone?
It's a couple episodes where we really haven't touched base on it. So I'm glad
that is true.
We've just
been sipping on our own pace, but
yeah,
we haven't done a cheers in a while. You're right.
We cheered it up. I love cheerleading. In fact, let's get to cheerleading these tires.
Heck yeah.
Let's just randomly pick one real quick and talk about it.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Well, hey, it's a slick, but should we still take the plastic off?
You know what? I actually have
boom
this exact tire right here with the plastic already off. All
right, so I pick one and I talk about it. You pick one, you talk about it, or I pick one, you talk about it. You pick one, I talk about it.
Let's do that. Let's do the. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I picked this one, so it's only right for you to talk about it then.
Okay, shit. All right, bet. So this is a Hoosier Slick. We sell them on our websites. Hoosier, they're kind of the OGs in the one-wheel tire game. I mean, we've got Hoosier and Burris. These were really the 2 big ones back in the day for XR because they're the tires that fit the rims. So a lot of new guys have come into the game. Like Float Life has their own tires. We've got Maxxis as well. We actually have a few Maxxises here. We're going to talk about those in a minute.
Max is a good guy. He really is.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah. Hoosier's been a big staple in the one-wheel community, especially for the XR and the Pint. for years and years. So this is standard Hoosier Slick. This is what this was my first aftermarket tire actually. Was a D20 Hoosier Slick. So the it's an amazing tire. I loved it. I probably got 1,500 miles out of it. Standard slick tire, fairly soft. So that number D20 I was talking about. So Hoosier has, and all tire brands really have different compound levels. Hoosier uses D. I know Burris uses like S22 or TX33. You may have heard those numbers. I don't think Maxxis has any, and I don't know if Vega has any, but I'm sure they do somewhere.
They're sleeping.
Yeah,
because
I just don't know.
You need a meter. I mean, you need some sort of reading.
Oh, exactly.
You need some sort of compound reading. I mean, what's the tool that you use to like? It's something like a D or something.
A durometer. Durometer will help. Will measure the hardness of any rubber tire. So yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about the Slick D20 Hoosier?
Solid tire. This is a D20. I've ridden a D20, a D10, and a D30. D10 is going to be the softest. 30 is going to be the hardest. The D10 was a bit soft for me, but it is also going to be a high-performance tire. The softer your compound, the more grippy, the more you're going to stick, and the more high-performance it's basically going to be. But that also means it's going to wear out faster. Rubber's going to flake off more. It's going to be a little bit more fragile. It's going to be softer, squishier. So people love that, but just know you may have to replace your tire a little bit sooner if you're going with a high-performance tire, just like a car.
Did you prefer the D20 or the D10?
I did prefer the D20.
All right, so you're in the middle then. You're in like the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm. The D10 was great, but then I started doing more off-road, and I mean, it was great, but it was just so fragile. I was having to replace it. And
so, all right, so with me, D10, I've rode I do have a Hoosier Slick. I liked it. So for me, the D10 I like because it feels it kind of sticks to the ground as I'm trying to go as fast as I can. And so with the D20, which I haven't had before, you're saying the D10 would like maybe get cut or something? Or like, what do you mean? Like, would it just wear out like paper thin and like pop a hole?
So funny enough, the D20 is, when it's aired up, is rounder than the D10 because it's a little bit harder. So it holds, when it bulges up, it holds its shape better, whereas the D10 flattens out more. That's why I really liked it a lot for trails because it was super stable. It was super flat. Mm-hmm. It felt like a Formula One car out there. Oh, whereas the D20, if you pumped it up, you could get a lot more of that nimbleness and carviness out of it. Whereas the D10, it was a little bit softer for that.
So what PSI were you reading at the D20?
D20, I was running around 20, 25, and that was when I was riding a lot of street.
Were you riding the trails at that?
No.
On the trails, did you ride the D20 on trails?
I did, and I liked it a lot.
What was the PSI on the trails?
PSI on the trails was probably 15. I think 15 or 20 as well, because I rocked flight fins back then. So all those bumps, I had something to keep me
flight fins.
Shout out.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else to say about the This is the D20 Slick.
This is the D20 Slick. So
anything else you'd like to say about the D20 Slick?
If anybody, so yeah. If you guys notice, have you ever had your tires like when you first get them or air them up? You'll see them on Vegas as well, where they have that sort of like hump in the middle where it goes down. If you see here, there's a seam.
Yeah.
Running down the middle. All tires will have that, even if it doesn't have a seam. It's how they're manufactured. If you look on the inside as well, there's like a little flat spot. That is where they basically take the two sides of the tire and push them together, heat treat them, and that vulcanizes the rubber, which just basically means make it harder because they heat treated it. So it's a little bit harder in the middle most of the time than it is on the outside, so it doesn't expand as much. So that's the reason for that. Most, if not all tires, especially slicks, will have that. Sometimes in treaded, you'll see sometimes the treads don't line up for that reason. Sometimes it got a little like twisted in the die or whatever, but perfectly normal. Oh, yeah. I think it's been a good overview for the tires.
All right, so we heard a lot about that Hoosier.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's get one for me.
The Maxxis 5.5.
Oh, Max. You know what? Let me tell you guys a little story. Story time with Jeff. It was to Vegas. And then I was a little phone call to my Onewheel mechanic at the time. Shout out to Rent E-Board DFW. And I said, yo, I'm tired of these Vegas. Everyone's riding aftermarket tires, treaded tires. What's up? He sells me on this 5.5. He says, dude, you're a skateboarder. This is known to be a little squirrely, but it's like super fun. He kept on pushing that it's super fun. Okay. And I was like, dude, you don't got to sell me on the one will be fun. Like, I'm having a blast on the Vega. And so I get the Maxxis 5.5, and being a noob, like I was straight noob. This is like 3 to 6 months into my one-wheeling career, life, what have you. And I get on this, and for the first ever, I'm seeing a complete night and day difference on how my board rides and handles. I knew how to really throw the Vega around when I rode it a lot. I knew how to kind of surf the street from side to side. But with this bad boy, I could do all that I'd have to work so hard with the Vega. It is effortlessly with this tire. And so this tire is a ripper. It is the nimblest tire that I got on at the time. I'm not sure if there's anything else that is actually more nimble. Could still actually hold the crown. But that's what I would like to leave you guys with. This is a 9-day different ride. Very fun, like the homie Corbin said.
Did you ever take it on trails?
Yes. I didn't know any better, and I was ripping on trails with it. And then my mentor, when I first met him, I was on this, and he's like, bro, you need more stability. You need a 6-inch, because this is 5.5. I was ripping out there with it. I really can't remember the big difference when I went, because from this, I went to the 6-inch Hoosier D10. And so I really enjoyed this tire. So I might put it back on something. I think it'd be cool to maybe stick this on a growler or some sort of cool, like some cool little build, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people put 5.5-inch tires on smaller builds like a Pint or a growler or something like that, just because they're so much fun to rip around on the street. Mm-hmm. But for trails, you're saying you need a little bit more stability.
Yeah, but I'd like to see it again because, you know, he was a Trail Pro connoisseur, you know? So, like, he was really pushing the Trail Pro.
I mean, it is the best tire, I personally think, ever made for the XR.
Oh.
It was the Trail Pro.
Heck yeah.
That's what I currently rip. I know that's what you're currently ripping on your GTR setups and whatnot, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what do you mean for the XR? Because if the Trail Pro has been on a GT, I mean, it's...
Basically, yeah.
It's on a GT.
GTR. GTP or whatever. PTX.
PTA. I'm actually going to join that next year for Jeff.
Coming this Halloween, all trail riders beware. A new face in horror emerges, lurking around every corner is your possible death. A film directed by Jeff Adair starring Austin Walters. Tire Candy. Bleach PlayStation. Oh, whoa. That was scary. Tire Candy. Tire Candy. Tire Candy. Put tire candy in your tire before you catch a flat. Tire Candy, made by Onewheel Parts.
Yo, halftime. Hey, so what'd you guys think about that little movie that Austin and I shot last week?
The Halloween.
Yeah, Michael Myers, look out. Dude, if Michael Myers was here, I'd bonk him in the head.
Bonk over Freddy and whatnot.
Dude, Freddy ain't I'm staying up editing. All right, so get me in my nightmares tomorrow, bro. When it's daytime and I'm napping on the couch. It ain't gonna be scary. That was our Halloween story. All right, dude, so let's get on with the show. That tire is just eyeing me. Can you bring that over here?
Let's break it down.
Break the tire down so the audience at home can kind of see each tire has like its own categories, you know?
Yeah.
So break it down, dude. Break it down.
So I guess in honor of show 5, let's break it down into 5 categories. So we've got...
Genius.
First one, we got a size.
Ooh, size matters.
Always. We got a compound, how soft it is.
The compound is always how soft it is or hard it is.
We've got a sidewall.
Ooh, the amount of protection your rim has.
Yeah. The profile, whether it be treaded, slick, basically the generalized shape of it.
Yeah, profile. Like, I was thinking like Facebook profile when you said it at first.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, Hoosier has a Facebook profile.
You
follow them?
Oh yeah. They had 5,000 friends. They couldn't add me no more.
Yeah, that's true. I feel you.
All right, so that's only like 4, dude.
And we got PSI. Ooh. What you run your PSI at?
Nice. PSI. What is it? Pounds square inch? Like, what is it?
Pounds per square inch. You could use bar as well.
I can use what?
How many barometric pressure? Like 2 bar is basically twice the atmospheric pressure. 4 bar is 4 times the atmospheric pressure.
Sick. Cool. So let's talk the first category for this guy. What is the first category? What did you say it was?
So the size.
The size. All right. For size, you might as well go ahead and break out all 4 sizes so we can see what's up.
Yeah. So this is a Hoosier 6-inch treaded. Here is a Maxxis 5.5 treaded.
We're gonna put it in order. So 5, 5, 6. Let me get the.
Here is a Maxxis 6.5 tread.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only sizes we got.
Well, we would have a 5-inch for the pint.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So over here, out of frame in your imagination, is a pint 5-inch. All right, so let's talk about the sizes, like how they matter, what's the pros and cons.
So let's start biggest first, you know. So the pros of the bigger tire is obviously it's going to be wider. It's going to have a little bit more stability. A lot of people prefer this for super chunky off-road and stuff like that if they're not super confident on the 6-inch. The 6.5 gives them a little bit more of that side-to-side rocking elimination. So it's going to be really good for like lifted or like extended rails, stuff like that. People can really make some monstrous builds with this. I've even heard rumors of a 7-inch Dunlop tire that some people run on some extended rails at like 10 psi, and they love it. So
Haven't heard of them.
To you. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Sorry about that, guys. The 2 people that are doing it. All right, so the 6.5, that's the same width as the Enduro, right?
I believe so. It's also the same width as a stock Vega.
What?
Is a 6.5-inch tire.
I was today when I learned that.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, well, I've rode 6.5 a few times, buddy.
That's why the Vega.
Couple Vegas, couple Enduros.
Yeah. So square and whatnot, yeah. The Vega definitely was a wide one for sure.
My boy Kyle Hansen rides this on some W's. Shout out Kyle.
The 6.5? Oh, hell yeah.
Now, is there 2 different people that kind of make the 6.5 that looks like this? There's a Maxxis, and then is there another one that looks similar?
There is. There's a Hoosier 6.5.
Okay. Which ones do we have?
We have both. We have both in stock on onewheelparts.com.
Nice.
The Maxxis 6.5 as well as the Hoosier 6.5. So
yeah, I saw Kyle ripping this. He rode it at Dirt Surfers on his W. Float Jesus, though. Shout out Float Jesus.
Kyle Klausing.
He told me this tire, just like you said a minute ago, will go over everything around that 10 psi.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, this is just a beast of a tire. It's very wide. I've rode an XR Enduro on a pint hub that totally reminds me of the profile of this current shape right here. So, okay, we've talked about the 6.5. Let's talk about the 6.
The 6. The standard 6.
So what makes it standard? Something about go-karts always coming in 6 inches or what? Tell me.
Something like that, you know? It's basically been the standard for most one-wheel tires. Aftermarket is going to be the 6-inch. I mean, you've got the 6-inch.
But let me ask you this.
Slick.
Let me ask you this. If it was a 6.5 Vega,
aftermarket.
the standard aftermarket. So the standard aftermarket was like, yo, screw Vega, let's do the 6, or was go-karts already 6 forever?
Go-karts have already been 6 forever. I mean...
Okay. Now, when they made the Vega, they made it 6.5 anyway.
The Vega is a go-kart tire as well.
Isn't like it from like Italy or something?
Yeah, it's from Italy. Italian tire. The Vega.
The Vega likes pizza.
And calzones.
Love some calzones. And like that floating city. What is that?
Venice.
Venice?
Not to be confused with Venice Beach.
Yeah, because we've been to Venice Beach.
Yeah, I've been to Venice.
You've been to Venice?
I've been to Venice. Rode around in the little gondola on the river and everything. Oh, yeah.
Well, aren't you fancy?
Heck yeah.
So why'd you go to Italy?
Family vacation. We went all around Europe, so.
I had freaking National Lampoon's vacations. Yeah. This guy's going to freaking Italy, getting sung to by the mime on the boat. All right. Since he has no idea about this tire, I'll talk about it. Standard was a 6-inch. It's amazing. I actually prefer the 6-inch over everything.
Same.
We'll get there. Even with the GTR it up. 5.5, we're going to be super nimble. We're going to be very carvy. It's going to be a crazy ride. I imagine this tire on some like W's being nuts.
Or like a growler build?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
All right, so that's the first category. We talked about size. And does it matter? Yes, it does.
Always matters.
All right, so we talked size. What was the next one?
Next one, let's go with compound.
Now, compound, is that like the building that like
David
religious
Koresh
cults go? Like, is that... You keep talking compound. I'm thinking religious cults. Can you break it down? What does this word mean? It's confusing me.
Don't associate this with David Koresh, all right? Compound is going to be basically what the tire is made of. How soft it is, how hard it is. There's also a tool called a durometer that they use to measure the hardness of each tire.
So all rubber is not created equal.
Correct. All rubber is not created equal.
Why can't all rubber be the same?
So hardness. When they make the tire, they vulcanize it. That's basically scientific term for making the tire, the rubber hard, is vulcanizing.
When they vulcanize it, that's them taking maybe like some liquid stuff and making it hard?
Correct.
Is this liquid?
This is not a liquid. This is a solid. This starts off as a molten rubber. It actually starts off as little rubber pellets, and then they molten it. They melt it down and then inject it into the mold, make the tire, and
So what's the process where they take the two halves and put it together, and how are they so good at that? Like if I did that, dude, these things would come apart.
Yeah. So that's actually why a lot of tires, especially on slicks, it's very noticeable. You get that sort of like wave in the middle where it's sunk down a little bit. You see here there's a seam.
My Vegas did that.
Yeah, when they join them together, it vulcanizes the rubber a little bit, makes it harder, less stretchy. So in the middle, it's basically like a hard piece of rubber in the middle.
Bro, genius. I just thought of her band name, the Vulcanators,
The
bro.
vulcanizers.
Bro, the Vulcanizers.
Vulcanizers.
All right, seriously, guys, we're gonna start jamming Friday and Saturday nights. Deep Ellum, hit us up. We just started a band.
You heard
the
it here.
Vulcanizers.
Let's go.
Dope. So they vulcanize it, make the rubber. What do they do to make it like a little subtly different? A little bit of soft, a little bit of hard. Like what do you imagine they're doing?
I don't really know. I think that's like some trade secret stuff.
That's the science stuff right there.
That's the secret sauce in it.
Okay, so while we're on compound, let's talk let's talk a couple tires where we can tell them like a setting, so they can understand like this compound. Like how do you measure it? What's it measured by? Like what's the measure?
It's measured by a durometer, but each tire company has its own proprietary way of labeling it. So like Hoosier uses D30, D20, D10. Burris uses like S22, TX33. They all like have their proprietary labels that they like to put on it.
Burris is trying to be confusing, having two different.
I know it's
TX33, and then there was an S one.
Yeah, it's weird, but
okay. Well, just to break it down very simply, guys, the lower the number, the softer the tire. The higher the number, the harder the tire.
Correct.
Vega, it was rumored that it was around a D60. We don't know for sure if that's the case, but it was a hard tire. The Hoosier Trail treaded tire that I used to rock before the Trail Pro was a D10. The Trail Pro by the Float Life, they don't even have a reading on there.
Yeah, they don't even have a measurement, but it's very close to like an S22.
It's soft.
Is what I hear. Yeah, it's soft.
So when I was on that D10, it was definitely in that ballpark of softness. So okay.
And I mean, a softer tire is going to be more high performance. It'll stick to the road better. A harder tire will be more durable, last longer. It'll be harder. It won't have as much give. Usually, harder tires are a little bit rounder at low PSIs, but softer ones, if you pump them up, they have that room to expand, so they're a little bit rounder at higher PSIs.
Yep. And the compound of the tire is super huge. We're not talking about PSI yet, but when it comes down to going as fast as you can on a trail, the softness plays a big factor in that. And so if you have a D30, you can definitely crush trails with it, but you're definitely gonna have to dial in at a lower PSI and get used to the tire if you're coming from a softer D10 or something like that.
It's gonna feel different. Yeah, well, and plus it's more durable, and I mean it's a heavier rider. They don't need to lighter tires, softer tires. They're gonna bend too much. The harder one, you'll get the same sort of performance out of it as a softer compound with a lighter rider because you have more weight exerting more forces on it. So. Oh yeah,
I mean, and on that note of compounds, while we're talking about them, I'm racing the Enduro. I'm very used to it. I jump on a stock GT with a slick tire, and it was at 7 PSI, and this tire felt so fast to me just because I got off this Enduro, which has a soft compound, and I'm, going down the mountain at different PSIs, trying to dial in which one I really want. I just take a quick freestyle down it with the slick tire, and since that slick GT is so hard, it felt kind of faster because of the compound.
Correct.
All right, so that's the second category out of 5. What's the third category?
Third category, let's go over profile.
Okay.
Profile. Yeah.
Let's get it. So I'm already seeing this profile is a little narrow just from the look. It's not a straight square. It actually already has a little bit of this coming around the edge right here. Very subtle, not like the Enduro, but it's there.
And as you can see, this one, it's a little bit more boxy. It's got a little bit of rounding going towards the sidewall and then caves in a little bit and goes back around. So that's the shape.
Okay.
I'd say the biggest difference is going to be the tread, though.
Yeah.
This one's treaded, so...
Well, on that same note, I mean, when I went from Hoosier Slick to Hoosier Treaded, I only saw a big difference when it was like muddy.
So the Hoosier, most brands have a very similar shape, profile, and how they ride, depending on whether it be a slick or a treaded. And I mean, tread pattern isn't the end-all be-all. I mean, you can see the Maxxis tread pattern is different than the Hoosier one. Same with the Enduro. The Enduro tread patterns of like a hybrid between a slick as well as a treaded. The GT stock tire is a very different tread pattern. I personally don't think it matters that much.
No.
Especially, I mean, we're not going at high enough speeds where this is going to affect water distribution and stuff like that. So tread, I think, is just going to offer you a little more grip in soft environments, like dry sand that's loose or mud or stuff like that. I think they're all pretty much going to behave the same regardless of tread pattern.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was talking about the difference with the tread and the slick being just like the slippage, I try to make a really fast board. The last time I built an XR, I try to make it as fast as possible. And so because Don Williams always swore by a slick, I always kind of thought like the slick was a little bit faster just because there's not that little bit of tread to like muscle
Stop
through.
you, yeah.
And so when I was putting my time in with that slick, because it was really my first time going down gnarly trails with the slick, because at first when I was on the Vega, I was pretty much just on the streets, just a little trail. I noticed that, yeah, it would slip out on slippery places like mud. So that's where the tread actually does matter. If you're racing Onewheels, you already know you're racing on some wet days, straight up. If you have a drought, schedule a Onewheel race. It's gonna rain. What happens is every time the Onewheel gods have to take in a submission of a Onewheel date, they talk to the rain gods, and sometimes they lose the dice roll, and the rain gods just like rain, and it's
I thought it was they didn't get along.
They probably
the
don't
rain
get
god
along.
purposely says, "Hey, we're gonna rain that day." Then,
But you see, they don't rain every time, so that's why I think they get along sometimes.
sometimes he's merciful.
For sure.
You know.
But yeah, the tread pattern does matter a little bit, but as far as different treads versus like this tread versus this tread,
Yeah.
I would say not at all. Not at all.
They're both treaded. They're gonna behave the same in wet environments.
Now, there is one cool thing that I would say about the Enduro having the tread on the side. Is that the only one that has the tread on the side?
I believe so.
I mean, it's a hybrid tread, so it's not super aggressive, but I mean, it's something to think about as more tire companies manufacture one-wheel tires, and let's bring that tread out.
Yeah, I mean that leads us perfectly into the sidewall.
Yeah, and that's the fourth. Is that the
that's
fourth?
the fourth option is sidewall. So yeah, I mean sidewall is. I mean, as you can see, this one's a little bit harder, or a little bit soft, and the Maxxis is a little bit harder. Let's check this Vega.
I mean, this is just a little test.
That Vega sidewall though is very, very hard.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Where's the trash can?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Let me see that slick over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so because the tire up here is so soft, I'm finally seeing a difference in the sidewall. Mm-hmm. Because those, I mean, I'm sure there are differences, but just my little grip trying to power through them, they felt kind of similar.
Basically, the purpose of the sidewall is it's what keeps your tire up. If you have too soft of a sidewall, your tire will just roll over on itself. If you have a really hard sidewall, it's going to feel boxy, square, not carvable at all. So it's definitely a fine balance between where your sidewall's hardness is at. Mm-hmm. It's basically what keeps you up.
That's dope that you bring up the sidewall's hardness, and that's very key. I'll bring up real quick with the whole XR, GT, GTR stuff, just the size alone, that aspect of the sidewall. The XR, which is a standard 6-inch, will have a bigger sidewall versus the 6.5 GT that's going to have a smaller sidewall because it's a half-inch smaller.
It's not as thick.
It's not as thick. And so you're going to have a better, cushier ride on the 6-inch because of the sidewall. It's basically like riding a low pro tire versus like a tire that it's just a regular tire. Like when you're having to go over potholes in town, I mean, a regular tire is just fine, but the low pro tire could pop a tire.
Yeah, or it could hurt your rim.
It could hurt your rim.
Snap your rim.
And so that's why I personally like the GTR setup. I like to roll a 6-inch rim on the GT. And one day in the near future, maybe there's going to be a rim even for aftermarket use because, I mean, there's only so many XRs out there, and there could be a demand for the 6-inch rim.
Yeah,
So
I
love 6-inch tires. So that's all I gotta say about that.
Same.
Okay, so we talked about the different hardness of the sidewalls, and we talked about the different sizes of the sidewalls. What else can we say about the sidewalls before we move on? Is there anything else to say?
I mean, we've pretty much covered sidewall.
Sidewalls is done. All right, last but not least, what is the last category that makes up this tire? It's the big one. It is the biggest one.
Yup, so that's going to be PSI.
And the reason I say it's the biggest one, because all of these actually are huge. Like, when you talk about the hardness, like, that in itself is huge. When you're talking about sidewalls, that in itself is huge. I say all that to say this one's actually bigger because it can make a horrible tire better, just basically about the air, by the air you put in. So PSI is hands down the most important out of all these.
Well, it affects all the other ones too. It
Yep.
affects how the sidewall behaves. It affects how the compound is. It can change the profile and the shape of your tire, whether it's high or low. It affects all of it. So say the best for last.
Save the best for last. Okay, let's talk PSI. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going on the street right now, and I'm going to ride as long as I can go. What should my PSI be?
Higher PSI, it means less friction on the tire because it's going to expand it up. Your profile is going to be a lot rounder. So you're going to have less contact with the road. You're going to have less friction. You're going to be harder tire. So it's not going to wear out as fast.
Dope. And when you're going out on the trail, you're going to want to have a lower PSI so you can absorb the rocks and roots that you hit. Problem with that is you're not going to be able to go as far. However, your ride is going to be a lot better.
Correct.
Is there any sort of traction loss with PSI?
Yes, I think there is. So as I said before, more PSI means rounder tire, less contact area with the road. You're going to have less traction just because you're not going to have as much friction on there. Lower PSI, your tire's going to sink down more. It's going to hug that road better. You're going to have more surface area, better braking and acceleration.
Yeah. What do you ride at?
I ride pretty much between 9 to 15
Yeah.
all the time, depending whether it be street 15 or trails at 9.
Me too. And we keep a low PSI on the streets because,
You're not on the street for long.
bro,
Let's be real here.
it goes down. In fact, dude, I get hurt more on the street. Like, literally every time I get hurt, I'm on the street.
Same.
So, like, stay on the trails.
Yeah. Just stay on the trails, guys. You'll be fine.
Yeah. All right, so that's the five different tire categories. Let's talk health of your tire. A couple things I'd like to touch on. There's preventative maintenance care, like with our tire candy and our tire wrap.
Tire
so
sealant.
start with the tire wrap and tell us what that is.
Yeah, so let's go over the tire wrap. Tire wrap is basically what you're going to wrap around your tire to set the bead. Not only does it help the sidewalls expand without letting this expand, so it sets the bead at a lower PSI and easier, but as you can see, most tires have a sticker on them from the factory. Let's read it out here. Never, all caps never, exceed 40 PSI to seat bead, and then it'll have the max inflation pressure. The reason you don't want to go over 40 PSI is these tires, they're not like car tires. They don't have steel bands running around them. They have cloth bands, string, same stuff your clothes are made out of. String, you pull it too tight, it snaps. Those strings are what gives these tires its shape, its profile, its rigidity. If you've ever run a tire out, you'll see it's...
My first two Vegas were like that.
This is a Vega, and as you can see, they're cloth cords. I mean, you can just cut right through them. It's not... There's no steel in here. It's cloth. So if you overinflate your tire to set the bead, you risk snapping those, and then your tire acts really weird. It's all wobbly, and with the bead setter, you can actually exceed that normal 40 PSI that your label tells you because your tire's not stretching anymore. It's not going to snap those cords.
Have you ever rode in your Onewheel and there was like this ba-bonk, 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 ba-bonk? You could have damaged the tire by setting the bead too high. And so it's one of those things that you just don't buy until you've ruined a tire. But basically the tire wrap will protect your tire and protect you from having that boom, 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 boom feel because you've exceeded the 40 PSI or whatever to set it. So it's a no-brainer to get the tire wrap.
Especially if you're doing a lot of bead setting or whatnot, or really careful with your tire. You have to be.
Let's hear about tire candy.
Okay, yeah. So all the one-wheel tires, these are these are go-kart tires. They're meant for a track. Even if they're treaded, they're a dirt track. It's just dirt out there. So these things are never meant for sticks or glass or rocks or anything like that. They weren't intended for it. So what happens is they all get a bunch of tiny little micro punctures in there. If you don't have sealant, your tire will just slowly leak air or it'll just get straight up punctured. So we recommend tire sealant in every single one.
We don't recommend it. It's a must.
I mean, unless you like changing your tire every 10 miles, it's a need.
I've seen a racer literally have to stop and couldn't go anymore because they forgot to put sealant in their tire.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've had people do a tire change at the shop and then they're back 30 minutes later and their tire just is done. Mm-hmm. It happens.
Tire sealant.
Yeah. So we sell Tire Candy. We think it's the best one on the market. Mm-hmm. It's a tri-blend of 3 different viscosities of sealant that we've been able to get into the proper mixture to where it flows really well.
The viscosity of that blend, Walter, we need to cook.
Yes, for sure.
Or no, Jesse, we need to cook. That's it?
Yep.
You guys just absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Mad scientist. Yep. So it remains low in your tire, but it remains viscous when it needs to plug a hole.
Viscous is like viscality. The viscality of that viscous is so beautiful.
Hell yeah. The viscosity.
Dope. Okay. Tire Candy. Guys, y'all better be going through so much Tire Candy over the next few years that y'all have cavities, okay? It's the best in the game. Tire Wrap, protect your tires. Wrap it up.
Keep it wrapped, guys. Be
Jeez.
safe.
Take that. Take that.
Alright, so this is the tire candy that we're going to put into this pint tire. This will seal up anything. It comes exactly in the bottle. It comes with the valve stem core remover. It also comes with a brand new valve core. It comes with seal on the top and a hella cool art in the inside. Comes off the top like that. Beautiful. What you're going to do is you're going to rescrew that top on like so. Take off that cap. A little snippet off the top will help the flow. Put that hose back on. Get that tire candy up in that. Oh yeah, tire candy ASMR right there.
Now.
Let's talk the Enduro real quick. You know, it's the only aftermarket tire on the market for the GT.
Yeah.
They actually let it be raced on this year in ORL.
Yeah.
That's
and
history.
Race for the rail. That's true history.
That's real crazy history. Like
an aftermarket tire at Race for the Rail. Who would have ever thought?
So yeah, let's real quickly touch on the Enduro. I have a couple boards that have the Enduro. Very carvy tire. It's very different at all PSIs. I feel like maybe that's the case with all tires, but in that tire specifically, it's very different at different shapes, which I think is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What have you? Do you have any experience on the Enduro?
I do. I've ridden both the GT Enduro as well as the XR Enduro.
Nice.
They feel very different from each other, which is a good thing.
That
Very
is
good.
true.
It's the same looking profile and everything, but I mean, because that sidewall is a little bit different, it changes the whole ride of the tire. It's phenomenal. I mean, the GT one is a lot more carvy. It rounds out more at high PSIs, but stable at the lower ones. And the XR one's just stable overall. It's like a trail monster out there.
Yeah. The XR version I had on a pint hub on the GT, total tank.
Goes over everything.
And then I do have currently 2 GT Enduros on GT rims, and yeah, they're very carvy. So that's pretty much the go-to tire for the GT. It's the only aftermarket tire. It's the upgrade from the slick and the treaded stock. So, man, check out the Enduro.
Yeah, hit it up.
So, man, dude, we talked about tires.
Tires.
Was that the tire show?
That was the tire.
Was that
episode.
the entire show?
I think so. I mean, do we want to have our special guest? Do we want to cut to that real quick?
Okay, well, let's go ahead and go to our special guest now. What's up, Floaty?
Yo!
Do you even trail, bro? Thank you for being on the show.
Yes, of course. I trail, bro.
Dude, I already know, bro. Like, when I asked you that question, you already knew I wasn't really asking because this dude trails hard as heck. I'm in the dust. Like he's like trailing so hard, like I'm in the dust. I'm like Floaty. Like, bro, you're insane. So
A while, you know, but you're out here shredding too, man.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. Thanks for inspiring me for real. We got a little Jeff in the mix.
What's good, little Jeffy?
Yeah. So we're on the tire episode, man. What kind of preference on PSI do you have, like during like the races? Do you have like a go-to PSI?
Man, I'll start out by telling you my old alter ego before Floaty Mcfly. Fluctuating frequencies. My waves are always changing, you know what I mean? Like I'm the kind of person who can't get a tattoo because I feel like I wouldn't like it later. I don't know. You know, that shit changes too much. So like when it comes to PSI, like Race for the Rail 2020, I was rocking high as fuck. I was the highest PSI that there was. Like I was asking around and like, you know, I was getting down the gnarly mountain on 20 PSI, you know, on a Vega. You know, my way of thinking is like, if I can make it down the hill at 20 PSI, if I just last minute crank it down to like 18, it'll just be even softer and it'll be even smoother. Sometimes I train myself like that, where like I try to find like what's the highest PSI that I can ride on this trail, you know? Figure out the max in general, then I like will try to tone it down a little bit, you know? And I don't necessarily like do that for every trail and every event necessarily, but that's kind of like the mindset. If I really get down in testing, like I've been getting my fastest runs at like 13 PSI on some of these newer tires. So that seems to be like my magic sweet spot where I found like the best, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But some of these segments, like, man, like Fireline, like you probably could have done that at 20.
Oh yeah, it was pretty groomed. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, it's just like a sketchy way of riding, you know, but it can go real fast that way.
No, for sure, and thank you, man. That's kind of some sauce right there, bro. For real, like, yeah, finding kind of like a high PSI, and then you know train on that, and then just take a little out, and it's gonna be even a little sweeter, man.
Yeah.
I was right before Race for the Rail at the spots around here. I was getting comfortable, dude, at 15 on the Enduro. It felt really good because, you know, I was used to like 10 to 13. And then when you pump it to 15, it feels like it's just so much faster that, dude, like just those 2 pounds.
Yeah.
So, you know,
just faster over stuff instead of absorbing it, kind of.
Exactly, dude. That kind of brings me to just shooting off the hip here, man. You came down here to Dallas, man. Which trails did you hit?
Yeah, I did. There was 2 at North Shore, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I did those 2, and one of them was like on the way out of town, kind of, like a bit northeast by itself. We did that one.
I thought that was pretty dope that Floaty hit the circuit in Dallas, man. So I appreciate it, bro. Hell
It was cool, yeah. It was flat and flowy. I liked, you know, and there was definitely a few spots where I was like, oh, I didn't know they had that kind of stuff around here. So,
Heck yeah.
You know, sorry.
Yeah,
Like
man. Like that's why I'm used to going fast on a one wheel because they're so flat and flowy that I can just like full wide open, you know. And so when I go somewhere that has the mountains, man, it's just like, yeah, I gotta get used to that real quick too. So I go to I try to go to Arkansas at least once a month though, man. So that definitely helps.
Yeah, 12 hours away, right? So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's 5 hours away to Bentonville, dude.
Yeah, it's like kind of like me to Tahoe in a sense.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What's your all-time favorite tire?
My all-time favorite tire, man. That's a good question.
And we can come back to that if you want to talk about like, you know, the hottest tire on the market. Obviously, is the Enduro. I mean, it's the only aftermarket tire out for the GT. What's the process like that? Like, do you get to ride it prior? Like, what was that whole thing like?
You know, with the GT Enduro, I did get the prototype one fairly quickly, so I was able to like, you know, I basically took off my GTXR pretty quick. Like I didn't really have it very long, so I went like straight into that, and you know, gave them a little feedback, got the new updated one. Everything was like tight. It was already like super sweet when I got that, you know.
Oh yeah. So how many races did you do this year with the GTR? Just like 2, and then you went straight to the Enduro, or what?
So I actually got my GTR installed the day before the first Dirt Surfers race in Arkansas. Is where I like got all the pieces put together instead of like getting them all shipped and stuff. So at Dirt Surfers, like super stoked. I got like third place on like a board that I'd never really ridden before in that sense, you know, where I had never put an Enduro on a GT, and it was amazing. And actually at Float Life Fest, my GT went down. It's got like a motor thing that was like coming and going, and like it would work, and then every once in a while it would kind of like lose the ability to balance on me, and like get it, and then it would keep going again. So like eventually it just kind of like gave out, and now it does that all the time. So I was trying to figure out what do I do? Am I gonna put my tire on someone's board? Well, I'm gonna swap this, swap that. I gotta pay this guy, flip this guy, because I don't have enough time because the race is about to start. And then I'm just like, somebody was like, "You want to use my board?" You know. The Fireline time trials that I ended up at first at, I was riding someone else's board.
Bro.
That was a GTR that like, and I hadn't been riding a GTR in a while, but it seems like I do pretty good on them when they have a 6 Enduro. Like the way that works, like, you know, the fact that it's got more rubber or whatever, I kind of hate modifying the GT.
No, I feel you. I mean, it's like a lot can go wrong. Damn, dude.
So part of me is like, loves that 6.5 Enduro because it solves all those like problems of you blaming yourself for issues that probably aren't even your fault. You know what I mean? Like, because these GT motors are like, we're putting them to the test right now, and they're breaking more than XR motors were. You know, like I'm seeing less GT controllers breaking and more GT motors breaking than like with the whole lifespan of the XR. You know,
I mean, I've already went through 2 out of the 3 that I have. I've had to replace 2 motors, and
right?
I mean, my theory is it's just using so much power that we're overheating them, and they just don't last like the XR. You know, the XR you can go 20,000 miles, dude, and the GT you're gonna overheat it where it's probably not gonna go that far. But
yeah,
I'm addicted to the power. I do think that it's not as good as the XR as far as like lasting long time. But man, it's so powerful, dude. Jeez.
Yeah.
I love it.
Really is. It's crazy just like opening up, like when you look at the stator, you know, and just seeing all those wires just like wrapped around, you know, and they're like not even perfect lines, you know, they're just kind of like fucking.
Hell
like,
yeah.
It's like making a piece of technology that's too strong for its own good.
That's exactly the case. Yeah, no, that's the case. Because, dude, I can feel it, dude, and I won't even let it get to the yellow light. I'll feel it when it's like at 180, dude, and I'll just stop because I know that if I let it get to the yellow light, that it's actually too hot and it's actually messing up the motor. You know?
Yeah.
And then
I heard that if they raise the temperature in which it like. Because remember those things were giving you the overheat notification every couple of minutes, like before the update, and now it's not quite as often. So I think that could be part of it. Is now they're like, you know, like maybe if they would have left it down where everyone was getting overheat before, we wouldn't be blowing the motors. But then either way, we're still then having to deal with that, and like you can't race getting overheat pushback. You know, like that's just not okay. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I'm getting by because I'm only 145-ish, you know, so like I'm lucky with that. But man, I could imagine if I was like around 200 trying to ride this thing and getting frustrated because of the overheating, man.
Yeah, how was your board for you on the GT race?
On the Dirt Surfers one or this one?
The
Float Life.
The Float Life one, because that one was.
Bro, man, when I stopped I never stopped, right? And when the race was finally over, I checked my temp because I was seeing Austin and all, you know, I saw, I believe you, I'm like, all these people like overheating. I never overheated. So when I finally stopped the race and checked, I mean, dude, I was at like 188, 190, but I try to just stay really light and de-weight constantly on all that thick chunk. I had the pint hub on the Trail Pro, so that pint hub kind of eats over. It kind of like, I mean, you know how easy it curb nudges. It just kind of goes over the chunk, dude. And
Yeah,
I'm 145, so luckily I never overheated, dude.
that's sick. But you were right there on the edge.
Oh yeah, no, I was.
Yeah, I overheated a few times, and like I would let it sit and try to go, and like I definitely noticed that when I would be really light on it, it would get me farther for sure. So, and you can kind of feel the motor like, right?
Because it was hardcore chunk through there, man. Let's talk about your growler setup just real fast, though.
Yeah.
Have you done a sesh yet with the Pint Enduro?
You know, that's literally what I'm gonna do after I get this firmware installed correctly. I'm gonna basically, after this phone call, I'm gonna go, like, I was riding on it for like 5 fucking feet, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna go put the new firmware on there, because I just the motor that was on my growler, like, I like stripped the inner hub bolt. So I was like, oh, I gotta figure something out with the motor. So I swapped a bunch of stuff from like another motor, took screws from here, put everything back together, and I got the motor working again.
Nice.
It was just like, it was kind of like on the back burner for a little while I was fixing up other boards. Like, and today I just fixed my Air 16 on my JW XR, so I'm like, that was sick.
Good deal. But before the Enduro, you can't say the Enduro. What was your favorite tire prior?
I love the Trail Pro. Like, originally, like, I was riding a Hoosier. Like, when I first was my first XR tire was the Flight Fins Hoosier, like the T1, like not the T2 that they have now, you know. And then I was like riding the T2, and then the Trail Pro came out. That one just kind of like answered my questions of stability, because like the way that it had that like flat top but like rounded out perfectly was like so much cooler looking than like a lot of other tires that had kind of an indent right here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like it felt like you were kind of riding like on like 2 tires. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like,
they have like the Vega was like that.
Right. Yeah, the Vega definitely, like, you know, depending on how you pumped it and everything, and how you shaped it and how it rode down and everything, like some of those Vegas can turn out really good at some point.
Dude,
like,
I liked the Vegas when I first started.
Like, speaking of tires, like my gold board right now, like I have a Burris 33 slick on it that's like really old, but it's like really sick. It's because it's like, for what it is, because it's like the hardest, like kind of roundest tire, so it like it holds that shape perfect. It doesn't absorb anything, so like there's a lot of like fun things that you can do with that aren't necessarily right bonking, and like a lot of tricks, you know, and like it's not necessarily good at like landing sex changes and stuff, because it's a pretty like, but like I feel like yesterday I was like carving the deepest I've ever carved, like leaning so like, and just like this tire just holds it, you know, like it doesn't like drop out. So like there's a lot of pluses and minuses, you know.
What PSI you riding that one at?
16.
It's a little, and it's harder. You saying?
Maybe 18. Yeah.
The compound's a little harder.
So it's like the hardest Burris slick that you can get, pretty much. Like, I don't think you can really find the 44s or 55s, but they supposedly maybe exist. But I think the Vega is supposedly like closer to like a 40, 45 durometer. So when you go with the 33, it's just a little bit less hard, but it's still like one of the hardest ones you can get, and it's a better shape. So it's like just a slight change from the Vega versus like, you know, the Whisper or the Cloud. Like, I love those tires too, because like it's just like the nicest feeling ride anywhere, you know, like you just
they hug,
but they don't have that like traction when you need it sometimes. And that's why like the ultimate tire all around is going to be like the Trail Pro or the Enduro, because like at the end of the day, like they're always going to be there, you know, and like it's going to support you, and it's going to give you that cloud-like feeling, but also have the shape when you turn that's more similar to like a perfectly shaped hard round tire. So kind of
that's the Enduro.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like once the Enduro got like perfectly fine-tuned to get released, and like this new one, it like had that perfect shape, you know, where it's almost like your body expects there to be a shape, and then it's like
it's not. You just keep going,
right? Yeah.
What do you think the most important thing is? Compound, PSI, or profile?
I would say, I guess, yeah. I would say for compound may be the most important thing at determining like what the tire is used for, because like the soft ones are gonna have a lot different benefits than the hard ones. You know, you could have a soft tire at a couple different shapes and still kind of get the very similar results, but it's slightly different. So at the end of the day, the compound's probably the most important in a general sense, you know, and then the shaping being like the thing that like actually makes the tire, because you know you could have slightly different compounds that feel pretty similar to the general, from what I can imagine, because like for example, like the D10 and the Whisper are supposedly pretty close and they're similar, but you can still kind of notice, you know.
And the D10's a little harder, just a tad bit.
I think so. I don't think it's necessarily as hard as much as it's just a different. It's like a slightly different thing. Yeah, and then PSI you can change at any moment. So like,
that's like the dial.
Yeah, that's more important for the rider than it is for like deciding your board. You know.
Well, man, I really appreciate it, bro. I'm getting a 2-minute warning, so we might as well sign off.
One time, some dude was walking down, and I was like, "Do you even trail, bro?"
All right, so from one of our viewers, I'm 240 pounds, and I have almost 2,000 miles on my stock Vega tire. The first 800 miles were from the first owner, so it looks like I have a little life left based on the tread indicator. When should I switch, and should I upgrade, and if so, to what? Looking for optimal range. Thanks, dudes. Float on.
Wow, I am so surprised you got, 2,000 miles out of a stock Vega? I mean, this one is only got 800 on it, and as you can see, it was from a lighter rider. I think they were like 150. So that's insane that you've gotten that much life and range out of your tire. That's absolutely crazy. I would definitely recommend switching off of the Vega if you're looking for more range. I'd honestly, if you're 240, I'd say for optimal range, go with a Slick, go with a D30 Hoosier, and pump it up to like 30 PSI. That's going to give you the optimal range.
It's going to be sick, dude. You're going to have so much range. You're going to ride to the gun range, okay?
And that tire will last a long time for you as well.
All right, so I got another question from another viewer. Are treads as important than softness or tire compound, or is there a balance that makes the difference when using on trails?
So I'd say tire compound's a little bit more important than the treads. I mean, tread pattern, if that's what you're asking about, it really doesn't matter. If it's treaded, it's treaded. If it's not treaded, it's not.
So yes, the compound.
Yeah, compound is going to be the biggest thing. That's going to dictate whether your tire's going to be harder, softer, more nimble, carvy, because you're going to be running at low PSIs. I will say a treaded tire at low PSI is a little bit more cushiony than a Slick at lower PSIs, just because it has that extra rubber. It's thicker. It's obviously going to last longer, but it has more cushion for smaller bumps, whereas the Slick, you'll feel it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's actually something to think about when going between the Slick and the treaded as far as what your PSI will be. So yeah. The Slick won't be as tough at a lower PSI.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit more tactile. You'll feel a little bit more of the bumps, but the tread will eliminate a lot of that just because it has that rubber to compress.
Well, that's our show for the day. We had a blast talking tires.
Hells yeah.
You were supposed to catch that.
Oh.
Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and a comment.
Yeah, and in the comments, tell us what your favorite tire is. Let us know.
Thanks, guys.
Do you even trample?